So our speaker for today, one of those things we went to it. We went to my friend Ron. You know Ron, the guy that comes cowboy hand. He comes in here frequently. Anyway, he and I were beachside one day, and we had lunch, and we were sitting there. We were talking about Jesus and God and churches, and the waitress came up and she said, "Have you tried this church? This is one of the best pastors I've ever heard in my life." Yeah, what church is that? And it happened to be Calvary Surfside. And he said, "Who's the pastor there?" "Well, Pastor John Forsythe is there." So that's what we have today. He's going to talk about the cancer that he's got. He's winning all that over and being a pastor. So John, come on up.
You're in the perfect spot.
Greetings, guys. What a joy to be here with you all. I just want to begin by saying that I grew up in the area. I went to Bell High, Bulldog 72. Went to FIT for 2 years. Went to Florida State, finished there, got a degree in marine biology. Got a job. How many people do you know with degrees in marine biology and they're selling pizza or whatever? I got a job at the University of Texas. And I worked there as a biologist for 30 years in the world of science. And I was studying squids and octopuses. I kid you not. And it was a dream job. It took me all over the world. I've dove in every ocean. I've lived in habitats. All that to say, it's like, it's good working together, okay? It was awesome. And so I did that for a long time. But late in my 30s, I had a really radical spiritual change in my life where God became just so very, very real to me. I was a believer, but He just took a hold of my heart and really changed me. And that's a long story, but suffice to say that happened. And as I started approaching, I got into my late 40s, and I was going to these seminars on taking early retirement. And I jokingly said to my pastor once, I said, "Hey, I'm going to an early retirement seminar. I like to retire early." And I didn't think about it. He asked me, just stopped right, he said, "Would you consider retiring and coming on staff at our church?" And because I'd been serving in the church, I was leading some ministries. I thought I was going to be the biologist who loves Jesus. That's what the Lord had for me. And long story short, I ended up taking that early retirement and walking away from this job. No one could believe it that I had done that. But it's really like the Lord put before me. You remember when Moses was talking to the people as they're about to go into the promised land? "I put before you life and death. Choose life. Choose life." And so I could have, and I don't mean that my career was death, but it was like, it was me. I loved that. My flesh loved that job. It was awesome. But He said, I want to use you for my kingdom. I want to use you to speak into people's lives and to help them. Okay? And when I was presented, that took me 9 months. 9 months of praying and thinking, but I wanted my yes to be yes and my no to be no. And I decided, and I went for it, obviously. And so I ended up being ordained at Calvary Chapel, Houston. My wife got leukemia, was within 12 months of dying. We were told she would die in 12 months. She's still alive 9 years later.
Yes.
That's good. Okay? And but all of that, what brought me back to Florida from Texas was that she needed to convalesce. She was immune suppressed. That's what happens when you go through bone marrow transplants, etc. So we brought Opal back here. I just wanted to be able to walk on the beach and breathe fresh air. And we could stay with my parents, who had a little house, 3 houses off A1A in the Atlantic, and then there's the beach. And so she could just walk across the street to the beach. And at the same time, my parents were in their 90s, and they sort of were having a struggle with negotiating life and phone trees and internet and all of that. So I was able to help them, and they both lived to be 98 and a half. And I was able to help them just enjoy those last few years of their life in peace. Love the Lord, could not wait to die. In the best possible way. They wanted to be with Jesus so bad. It was beautiful to watch them finish their life strong like that. And so here I was. We moved here. I plugged into Calvary Melbourne, and I've been a Calvary guy. But served on some big ministries there. But God just put a call on my heart to start a Bible study on the beach. And I talked with the leadership there, and they had no vision of putting a campus on the beach ever. And so I said, well, I do. I do. And so we talked about it. I said, I didn't care if it was big or whatever. I just wanted people to have that option. And so we started Calvary Chapel Surfside in September of 2008 when the economy crashed. Isn't that good timing to start a church? Anyway, but I did it in faith, and here we are 7 years later about to start our 8th year of ministry. All that just to tell you who I am. And so I'm just so blessed to pastor a little, I guess by standards today it's small, but we're family, and we are deep. Some churches are really wide but shallow, they say. Calvary Surfside, I'm bragging. Our church is full of deep-rooted Christ lovers that love the Word of God and love sharing that and raising their families. And there's no place on earth I'd rather be than pastoring this church there over on the beach, so we love that. About this time last year, in fact, this month last year, I had gone in for my annual physical, and every year I had a PSA test done, prostate-specific antigen, because when I was 45, my brother, who was 60, discovered that through his PSA test he had prostate cancer. And I remember that day I got the phone call when I was driving to a weekend retreat. It's called, anybody ever been to the Walk to Emmaus? Any of these people? Awesome. And I was going to that, be a worship leader, and he calls and tells me he's just been diagnosed with prostate cancer. That, I had no idea. It shocked me. It shook me to my core. That whole weekend, I was just asking for prayers for him, and I thought sure he was going to die. He's still alive. He's 75. He's great here. Okay. But anyway, because he got it when he was 60, when I was 50, I just started getting PSA tests every year. Guys, if I leave today, you don't remember anything, but you've been lazy about that. It's cheap, it's easy, it's a little blood draw. Get a PSA test every year, once a year, that's all. But it'll get your baseline, but it will catch that thing right there. And last summer, mine went from year after year of nothing to like that. And my doctor said, well, I think you need to go to a urologist. So, okay, so I went, and they did the fun stuff, and he said, well, I think we ought to do a biopsy on that. It doesn't feel quite normal. So I said, okay, so we did a biopsy, and they found out that my prostate, there's a scale they use. I'll just say it runs from something like 0 to 7 on the degree of how severe the cancer is. Mine was a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm sorry, 1 to 10. Mine was a 7. But the good news was my cancer was still contained in my prostate. It is a cancer that will leave your prostate. And brother, that's what you don't want to happen. I don't even want to think about getting diagnosed this month instead of last August. Because I had an aggressive one that was doing that. And in fact, over the next 3 months, every PSA test I was doing that. It was just climbing. So I needed to know then. And God was gracious, and I got to find out. So I get diagnosed. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is that the urologist you might go to, they all know how to treat prostate cancer. There's like 6 ways you can treat it. Here's the deal. They're going to want to sell you on what they do. I'm just saying, they're going to want to tell you, because, they make a living at it, I get it, they're probably very good at it. But there's a lot of ways, and there's a lot of issues around prostate cancer. And what I just want to say is that, okay, so I get diagnosed. I'll get back to this part of the story. And I didn't know what I'm going to do, but I get diagnosed on a Friday. And I had, on Thursday, they get the results back from the biopsy. And I don't know how hard it is to get to see a doctor. But I get a phone call that day. It says, Dr. So-and-so would like to see you at 7:30 tomorrow morning and bring your wife. And I'm going, He's probably not so excited that he wants to high-five me. It came back negative. No, it wasn't that at all. Sure enough, I had full-blown prostate cancer. And so they sat there and we talked about what to do next. And they said, you need to be deciding what you want to do. I do surgery, and I think that's what you should have. And you can surgically have your prostate gland, let's just get it out of you. Okay, it's all in your prostate, let's just get it out of you. And on the surface, that makes a lot of sense. But, so that's Friday. So through the weekend, I'm wondering, what do I tell my congregation? Because I think sometimes pastors don't share everything. Sometimes they'll keep stuff behind, whatever. But I decided, my church is a family. So I got up in front of my church on Sunday, and I said, hey guys, good to be a We're family, right? Well, you tell me all the junk that's going on in your life. I got something for you. I've got cancer, and I need you guys to be praying for me. Every one of you. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I just found out Friday morning. But you know what? I prayed for you guys a million times, and you know what? I need you guys to cover me. And so I do that. And at the end of the service, a guy just comes running to the podium before I can get off stage. He says, Pastor John, this is incredible. I wasn't even going to be here today. I was supposed to be in Fort Myers, but the Lord said go to church and then drive. And I didn't know why, and now I'm alive. He said, before you do anything for your prostate cancer, check out proton beam therapy. I'm a scientist.
What is it?
Proton beam therapy. I'm a scientist and I had never heard of it. And I'm going, oh great, let me guess. I've got to go to Mexico. I've got to go to Guadalajara. Right? And dangle a crystal over me to sunlight up on a mountaintop or something. But so I said, hey dude, okay, proton beam therapy. You bet, I'll check that one out. And so I started checking it out. And I found out it's a cutting edge therapy that's incredible. And then I looked at the medical centers that use it. And the University of Florida Cancer Center in Jacksonville has the only current, I believe, proton beam center. No, well, they're opening them up fast now. When I got diagnosed, 7 in the whole country. And here's the deal, you've got to build a linear accelerator around the facility, and they literally accelerate a beam of protons, okay? And then they have what they call guns in gantries. They have these guns and gantries, and they lay you in front of one, okay? And this is my one souvenir for my treatment. And this is half of a 3-dimensional image of my prostate gland. And this one probably fit towards that side of my hip. And they shoot you through your hips, and your prostate's right in there. And from this side, they get that hemisphere. And then there's a matching one on the other side that matches the other hemisphere. Now, proton beam therapy, what's so awesome about it? Okay, surgery. This is what most doctors want you to do, surgery. Your urethra runs from your bladder. When you urinate, it runs through the middle of your prostate gland. When they remove your prostate, they just cut that off at both ends. So you lose everything, all of the urethra in between. And then they stretch it back together and stitch it back together. Okay? On top of that, you lose one of your 2 sphincters that controls your ability to stop urinating. There's 2. Girls only have 1. Guys, we're lucky. We have 2. Okay, you'll lose one. And then, so I remember my doctor was, the last test they had to do was examine the inside of my bladder to be sure there was no evidence of the cancer having moved to the bladder because it's so close. It sits right on top of the prostate line. And so they've got their camera in there, and you know how they had to get there. So it's awesome. And he then wants my wife there too. And I'm going, seriously? So she's there, and he's showing her, and sure enough, my bladder was clean and fine. And then he says this, he says, now you see where that's coming? I want you to squeeze real hard like you do when you want to stop pain. And I'm going, okay. Like that, I see it, squeeze it. He goes, good. After surgery, I'm going to want you to do that 10 to 15 times a day for several months to help you not become incontinent. What a sales pitch that was. Are you kidding me?
To help you.
Okay. To go faster, proton beam therapy. Now another thing is that right now they do radiation. Conventional X-ray radiation. But we know that X-rays, they burn everything on the way in. They hit the target, they'll hit the tumor, and then they burn everything on the way out. That was always the problem with X-ray treatment. Now they take the X-rays and they rotate them around your body. It's called pencil beam X-ray, and they can aim right at the prostate, but they're moving it constantly, so healthy tissue is getting a very short dose of the X-ray, and the target is getting all of it, but you're still irradiating healthy tissue. I don't know the physics of proton beam therapy, but proton beams do this. They pass through your body, they release no energy whatsoever until they hit the target, and they release all their energy at the target. So there's no harm to healthy tissue. Get this, they treat brain tumors with it, and even pediatric tumors. There's certain cases where they will shoot the proton beam through a child's eyeball to get to a tumor right behind the eye, which are notoriously hard to get at surgically because you've got to pull the eye out. You know, and so that's how harmless the proton beam is. except in the target. And then it releases and kills the cells in a radiation-like way. But that was like, when I started reading this stuff, I'm going, yeah. Now my doctor, Dr. Choi, I asked him, well, where'd you go to school, doctor? He said, well, I got my bachelor's degree and my master's in nuclear engineering at MIT. I'm going, check, that's good. Where'd you get your MD? Well, I got my MD at Cornell. Check, this guy knows his stuff, So I said, could you explain to me how proton beams don't release any energy? And he did, and it went like this. I have no idea what he said to me. I do not understand the physics of it. But suffice it to say, when you get proton beam therapy, you have to go every day, 5 days a week. It takes about 20 minutes. They actually irradiate you for 25 seconds on each side. That's how long the actual treatment is. They got to do some prepping to get you ready. Okay, you don't feel anything. You hear the machine making funny noises, but it's like, is it done? I mean, did it even start? Yeah, you're done. Okay. So I have no idea. And so it has no effect on you. You don't get sick. You don't lose your hair. You don't lose your appetite. You don't lose weight. That was the only bummer about it all. Anyway. But all these things I thought were awesome compared to, because you can treat it to some degree with chemotherapy. There's other treatments they do, but it's painless. It's amazing. So then I got on a protocol where instead of doing it every day, I did it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on a slightly higher dose. So I was on a clinical trial, the final stage one. And so I was gone. So finally I did my last one, and I go, okay, are we done? Yeah. How do you feel? I feel like I did when I showed up. I was going mountain biking and rock climbing. It turned into a sabbatical for me. Because I went to Houston. I went to MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. And because my daughter lived just about 20 minutes away. And so wherever you go, you got to go every day. And Jacksonville was the closest one to here. And that's too much of a drive. When I thought I was going to be going every day, I'd have to rent an apartment or whatever, but I could go live with my daughter and just borrow her car and go to my treatments. That's why I went to Houston. But in between my treatments, I'm rock climbing and mountain biking and hiking. I'm going, this is just not fair. I'm supposed to be having cancer treatment. And I just want to tell you, it was amazing that it didn't affect my health at all, one way or the other. And so I went back for a 3-month checkup. It was awesome. I'm witnessing to my nurses laying on the head. And it's sort of like, I'm going, I remember praying on the gurney one day as I got laid in front of the proton beam. And I said, Lord, I just pray to heal me through this. And I understand this machine is built by the hands of man, and I understand that these guys have worked out this theory, but here's what I know. These protons are yours. You made each and every one of them. Mm-hmm. And so, Father, take your protons and heal my body with them. And that's what I'm going to give the glory to for my healing. And to this day, so day 30, my PSA went from almost 7 to 1.2. I mean, 3 months, day 90, just off the table. I'm going again next week. Next Wednesday, I'm going in for another test. I expect it to be approaching 0, and my doctors are telling me that I'm healed, and so I'm just claiming it right now. Okay, so that's the proton. That's my story. The strange thing was being a pastor, and especially the small church. I don't even have a staff, so to speak. I'm the pastor. I don't even have a secretary. But what was awesome is that the Lord prepared our church for this season. It's amazing. You look back and you realize that He'd been raising up men. I started a school of ministry a year ago. It just happened. I didn't say, hey, anyone want to start a school of ministry? I had 3 guys come to me. Pastor John, could you start a school of ministry? We want to know more about serving the Lord. So I did that. And the guys that were in my school of ministry, the 6 weeks I was gone, every Sunday service was preached, and every midweek Wednesday night service was preached by guys in my school of ministry. And our church didn't miss a beat. And God and other men got to be used by the Lord for ministry while I had to be away. And how reassuring, how refreshing that was for me to know. And it's important to know that church doesn't depend on me. It's Christ's church. He'll take care of it, and He did that. I am not an A-type. I mean, having these guys ready to go, that was a God thing, not my great planning in advance. But they did a wonderful job. So that was cool. To have a church praying for you, to realize that every day you're going into the hospital, you know that you're living under this sort of umbrella of prayer. People can't see it, hear it, but they know it's there. They know it's there. And then, I'll tell you, the Sunday I came back and I was in the pulpit, it was so emotional. It was such a beautiful Sunday morning. And I'm just saying, my family was so thankful to have me back, and I was so thankful to be back, you know. And so I was just, I guess, so all I say about being a pastor is I think sometimes, I have people in my church that have surgery and never tell me about it. But you know, I think pastors are even worse about it, so they're not wanting to let everybody know all our deep little secrets or whatever. But I was so glad I shared my situation with my flock. And man, they were there for my wife and I. And it was an awesome part of the story. I think what I want to close with a little bit here, I actually have no idea how much time I have, so just turn the camera off when I'm done. Okay. I just want to tell you, if I'm a pastor, you're not getting out of here without hearing some scripture, okay? And what I find with God is that He's always faithful. I mean, you know, Calvary Chapels, we love this book. We love this book. We love Jesus. This book did not go to the cross and get nailed to the cross for us. Christ did that. We trust Him entirely. But He speaks to us through this book, and He's never failed. And so you might ask me, well, John, how did you feel the day that you got your diagnosis? Have you ever had, who's gotten the phone call, you have cancer? It's usually not a great day. It can be a shaking day for many people. Some people it isn't. I was sitting there with my wife that Friday morning. Obviously, I've been sort of 7:30 in the morning. This is probably not going to be good news, okay? But it was amazing. I sat there and he said, you have stage 7 prostate cancer. And it was like the weirdest thing. I just was so calm. And I just said, so what's next? What do we do? And then after this, I heard my wife talking to somebody. I guess they were asking, how did Pastor John deal with that? And she said, all I can tell you is that night, he fell asleep in 2 minutes. Which is my normal rate of falling asleep. I have the gift of sleep. And it was true. I didn't have a worry. I was at peace. And every time something's happened to me in my life, God's given me a scripture. Immediately afterwards, and like the one He gave me is Psalm 55:22. Not terribly long, but you get a word that in that moment, that's what you needed to hear. Okay? I get the diagnosis, and in my readings I come across this, and it says, cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. And that just got me thinking about this word sustain. And to me, my way of thinking is like, He's going to give you everything you need. Okay? And that verse goes on, it says, He will never permit the righteous to be moved. And listen, it can be a very moving experience to get cancer, you know? And it's amazing to recognize that. I remember I sat in that chair, and you're not going to believe it. Here's what I thought as the doctor told me that. I said, Jesus knew yesterday. Why should I be worried today? He knew yesterday, and He's already in tomorrow. So what's next, Doc? What are we going to do? Now, He wanted to cut my prostate out. And so He was not very happy when I went for proton beam therapy, but I just want to say, I want to tell you this too. He never told me about it. And here's the testimony I got in Houston at the Proton Beam Center. I got to meet probably about a dozen guys. You sort of get on a schedule of every day. And there's a couple of guys before you, a couple of guys after you, and you get to know each other. Not one of them did their doctor tell them about proton beam therapy. Not one. They had to find it out on their own.
Does insurance pay for it?
My insurance paid for it. Some insurances balk at it today. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, I mean, whatever. They do. And it's, I guess, whatever. It's expensive, but not insanely expensive. It's about twice as much.
Chemo is expensive. Surgery
is expensive. Surgery is expensive. Probably twice as much as surgery. But here's the deal. No incontinence. No loss of guy stuff, you know.
Man,
Still pretty good shape, you know what I'm saying? And that was important to me. And I'm 100% of what I was before I started the treatment. And they can't promise you that with surgery. Yeah, because it's very easy to destroy. There's nerves that go right through the middle of your prostate too. Okay, I was going to say bad planning. God, okay, you had a purpose for doing it that way, but it's so you don't get your prostate cut out, I guess. But you're good guy. Psalm 112, 7 and 8 also touched me. And it's sort of funny, you know, when you have that faith and you're trusting the Lord, and then you read a scripture and you realize, Lord, I was doing that. Listen to this. He is not afraid of bad news. This is speaking of the guy whose trust is in the Lord. He's not afraid of bad news. His heart is firm. trusting in the Lord. His heart is steady. He will not be afraid. You know? I love that, man. He is not afraid of bad news. And I just immediately go back and go, that's so weird, Lord, because that morning, I got what most people would call terrible news. And to me, it was like, what's next? It's in God's hands. Where my hands, my life's been in your hands for 10 years anyway. What's next? What do I do tomorrow? You guide me, Father. So I love that. The Lord's done a lot of that in my life. And if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to tell you, some of these guys know me in here a little bit. I've broken my neck twice since I moved here. I've broken 4 of my 7 cervical vertebrae. One time surfing, I dived in off my board in Sebastian and led into that much water. I thought it was that much water. So I did a pile driver straight in, so most of my body's out of the water when my head hit bottom. I snapped 2 vertebrae, and so long story, I ended up going in and they throw a collar on me, and my doctor says, you know, half the people that come in with this injury will never leave a wheelchair, and I just give you glory, Lord. And he gave me this song in the hospital. I've got 2 great verses in hospital beds over at Holmes. And so I'm sitting there, my neck, I can't even swallow, my neck hurts so much. It says, and I read Psalm 43, it said, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, you are mine. Now get this, I broke my neck, diving off my board into the water. And look what it says next, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And I stopped dead right then. I went, holy smokes. And he gave me a word. He said, you need the Lord because you don't know when you're going to meet the Lord. Right. And that moment, my head was passing through that 18 inches of water, and my life was good. I'm surfing on the Sebastian Inlet with my family. Life's wonderful. And I'm headed for catastrophe. But the Lord knew. The Lord knew. And to this day, I believe he put his hand out. And just like he did on the cross, he took some of the blow that I deserved. Okay, and he saved me. I tell people this too. Okay, I'll tell you this. 2 years ago, I broke my neck again, mountain biking this time. Epic wipeout at the Grapefruit Trail in Palm Bay. Oh, it's a story I'll show you. I can't do it now. Broke 2 more. Broke my atlas, which is the vertebrae your skull sits on. In a motorcycle accident or car accident, you break that, you're dead, because that's where control of breathing and heartbeat is. And so I walked a quarter of a mile out of that trail system that day with my atlas broken, cut, and then another vertebrae ruptured as well, fractured. And again, my doctor, I go see Dr. Payne. Isn't that a great name for that? I can't believe it. You've done it again. You should be in a wheelchair. But just don't do this again for 8 weeks and you're going to be fine. I'm not even going to do surgery. And so I've broken my neck in 4 places. I have no pins, no fused vertebrae. My neck, I have no pain. And that's the God. I just give it, you give it to the Lord. Okay? So on that one, okay, here, I just want to, I hope you guys don't mind me just sharing these with you guys. But I'm laying in the hospital bed at Holmes again with my neck broken. And I'm reasoning out. Here's what happened. All I got to tell you is, I was on this mountain bike, and I went off a ramp following 2 guys. Anyone know Julio Lauren? Julio, brother Julio, he's awesome, a good friend of mine. And I'm following him off the thing, but I'd never gone this chute. And I thought it was just a down ramp. It turned out it was a jump. So I'm going off trying to drive down when I should have been going like that. I'm going, not good. Okay. And so I go about 10 feet and stop like that. And I'm thrown over the top of my bike. But I'm below grade because I didn't hit the ramp. And so going over, my neck just got smashed against my sternum as I hit with all my body weight. And I landed on this hill, head up. So I just want you to remember that as I read this. I'm laying there, sort of laying on a hill. Okay? Here's what Psalm 3:3 says. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. And it was so cool. I remember coming to and looking up, and there was a guy there. I don't even know who he was. And he had an ice, we're in the middle of the woods, he has an ice cold towel, as if it had been in ice. And he comes down from above me. It's like an angel thing, I think. And he put that around my neck, and they helped me get up. They didn't see the accident. If they'd seen my wipeout, they would not have let me get up. They would have called in a chopper or something in a factory. But anyway, I remember laying in my bed and went, holy smokes. He's the lifter of my head. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I was knocked out for a moment, okay? I awoke for the Lord, and there's that word again, sustained me. The Lord sustained me. So I don't know what the deal is. Either I've got a guardian angel that's got casts on and stitches all over him from watching out for me, I don't know, or God's just always been on the case to protect me. But I just want to say that the Lord is a great comforter, and I'll just close with this.
Amen.
He's comforted me amazingly through my wife's battle with leukemia and my parents passing, which was actually an awesome thing. But then for me to have this string of accidents and all. But I think of 2 Corinthians 1, verse 3 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in our affliction." Man, is that my testimony. He has so comforted me in my affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction. This has affected the way I do ministry. I'll tell you what, I get it. I mean, I love going to the bedside of people and giving them hope and encouragement, because you know what, the Lord's lifted my head. He's been there as I passed through the water, and He was there, and He sustained me through my treatment for prostate cancer. So He does that, and we're to do that with the comfort which we ourselves are comforted by God with. So God gives us that. So last thing I want to say, God wants to comfort us, right? His comfort is recurring and compounding. I love that. It cuts through calamity and transcends your circumstances, the comfort of the Lord. And you can have that, but you've got to trust Him. It's not a weakness to want to be comforted by the Lord. That's not a weakness to ask for His comfort. Just, Lord, I need you right now. I can't do this. I need you to lift my head right now. I can't lift it myself, And it's a sign, I think, of spiritual strength and wisdom. And lastly, He comforts us so we can comfort others, right? He comforts us so we can comfort others. If you don't take and apply these things and don't let Christ work through you into the lives of others, we talk about being His hands and feet. I tell my congregation, Jesus wants to borrow our skin. Jesus wants to borrow our skin so He can reach out and touch people. So He can reach out and wipe a tear away. So He can reach out and just hold a head of someone suffering in a bed from cancer or whatever it is. He wants to borrow our skin so He can work in other people's lives. And I think one of the ways He prepares us to do that is He does it to us. Amen? Amen. God bless you guys. Father, we thank You for this few minutes here, Lord, to just talk about how awesome it is to be a Christ follower, Lord, and to live a life of genuine, real faith, Lord, that works in the difficult moments, Lord. When we are helpless, You are there. When we are in danger and don't even know it, You are there, Lord. And so, Father, we just give You glory. I give You glory, Lord, for the things You've done in my life, Lord. I thank You that You then give us a testimony that gives us the ability to move through this world and let You borrow our skin and bless other people in their time of affliction, Lord. So, Lord, keep us ready to share with others what You share with us, Lord. And we just thank You for the blessed privilege of being Your ministers in this world, Lord. So, Father, we thank You for this day. Thank You for this food. Thank You for these godly men that gather to simply be in the fellowship of Christian faith with other men, Lord. I pray You'll continue to use this ministry to bless the lives of the men in our community. And we pray this all in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Concentrated tumor, type of a cancer. Leukemia is in your blood. No good. It works on spinal cancers. They use it on spinal cord cancers. They use it on brain cancers. There's a number of them. But generally, if you have a diffuse thing that's all spread out, it's not so good for that. But if you do have a sort of a contained, demarcated tumor, it's fabulous. It's perfect for that. But yeah. So it depends on the cancer. They treat probably, I think I've seen up to 21 different kinds of cancer can get treated. Yes, sir.
Where are the proton centers here in Florida?
There's one in Jacksonville. I think they're building one in Miami. There's one in Orlando. It's supposed to open in 2016.
Is that at Florida Hospital?
No, University of Florida has a cancer center in Orlando. I just checked it today. So University of Florida Cancer Center in Orlando.
You mentioned about something about clinical trials or something in the course of your treatment. What was that all about? Okay,
no, what they're doing is the reason insurance companies balk a little bit is that getting 44 treatments, they charge per treatment, okay? And so they were doing a thing, could we cut that in half or by 2/5. So that, because it's still, I still got treated for 25 seconds, they just turned the dial on, okay? And so that cut the cost of my treatment quite a bit. But they had already done primary trials to show that it works. I was in the final beta trial, which they just have to do 150 more men, and now the FDA will call it okay when they show that the results are the same as the other treatment. And then that's going to drop the cost of the treatment so more insurance companies will pick it up. Okay, so I'm a scientist. I like to advance science. You know, my wife was in a clinical trial. That's part of the reason why she lived. We believe that, hey, Lord, if you can use us to bless other people, my life's in your hands anyway. Just go ahead and do it. I trust you. And so when I had the chance, I did it.
What kind of dollar did they put on it?
Excuse me?
What kind of dollar did they put on that treatment?
I think mine was like $50,000.
What is the difference? Well, they have this process of putting radioactive seeds or whatever in, that would not affect your sphincter or your other functions, would it?
Correct. They put these radioactive beads in your prostate, but it's a little less precise of a science. I mean, it's also irradiating more than just the prostate.
So do they have a survival rate of both these procedures?
That's pretty good. But you know what? They use proton beam treats a lot of people that have gotten their cancer back. And they'll bring them in there. They've had the beads, they've had the other. They even had people with surgery still get prostate cancer because it had gotten out of the prostate. And maybe they didn't realize it, but it can then spread. But those other things work. You just got to look at them. I looked at every single one. I looked at the pros and cons. My insurance would have covered any of them. So it was like, and then I went to MD Anderson, which offered all of them. And so I knew they weren't trying to sell something. I said to my doctors, what, in my health, my age, my condition, what's the best choice for me? And they said, well, proton beam would be excellent. Surgery would be excellent. It's up to you. Those would be the top two we recommend.
That was in Texas?
That was in Houston, yeah.
Houston.
Yeah.
So how long did you do your therapy?
I did my therapy in January and February.
Okay, this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was 6 weeks, I think you said?
I was there for, actually I had mine cut back to 5 weeks.
Okay.
So that was awesome. I felt bad for that. I didn't tell you everything they do for the treatment. Talk to me afterwards. I mean, it's not horrible,
Yeah.
but there's a procedure you go through.
There's always something.
That it helps move your bladder away from the prostate for the treatment. It's done as a precaution. They may stop doing it, but for now, they do something.
What was that 2 Corinthians you said?
2 Corinthians 1, 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. But 2 Corinthians 1.
1-3. Could you tell me why the proton only becomes active or destroys, you say, the bad stuff? Why is it, if they put you radioactive or something, why does it only attack where the cancer is?
Well, I think I told you that story. I talked to my doctor, the MIT guy, and he explained to me the physics of why the energy is only released at the target,
Yeah.
not on the way. And I told you that when he explained it to me, it went over my head. I don't get it. I couldn't understand his explanation. I mean, he was explaining it, the nuclear physics of it, but I didn't get it. I shouldn't say nuclear because it's not radioactive. It's they actually take a little tank of helium, or the protons they use to accelerate it. So it's helium protons it creates. So it's not toxic even in and of itself. Yeah.
One thing you said when you were telling your story that you knew that man made the machine, and that you're trusting God. So what I tell my kids is, it doesn't matter what it is, even if man made it, God made man. So actually, no matter what it is, God is the one that made that machine, because without man, there would be no machine there.
I think I was thinking that joke about go get your own dirt.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So it doesn't matter. Right? So as long as the technology, surgical procedures, whatever, God can use us, and it's all because of Him that any of that is happening. So
That's it.
okay.
For the sake of time, I'm going to stop. I'll hang around. If anybody wants to talk with me, be happy to answer any more questions you might want to know.
Thank you.